The diplomatic execution. Ambassador Octavia Reeves stood before the towering crystalline podium, her posture rigid despite the gravitational adjustments making her bones ache. The Galactic Union Council chamber stretched around her in a perfect circle, alien representatives from over 300 species perched in tiered seating that climbed the walls like an inverted coliseum. Their eyes, some multifaceted, some bioluminescent, some barely recognizable as sensory organs, all focused on the lone human in their midst. Ambassador Reeves, began High Arbiter Zolthar, his gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his excitement. You stand accused of subversive diplomacy and manipulation of Council sympathies through exploitation of emotional vulnerabilities. Octavia's expression remained neutral, though internally she calculated her diminishing options. 6 standard months of representing humanity, 6 months of fighting for a permanent seat at this table, and it had come to this. The evidence presented suggests you deliberately distorted humanity's violent history to elicit sympathy, continued Zolthar, his translator unit converting his vibrations into the standardized galactic common. You portrayed your species as victims when your historical records clearly demonstrate your inherent aggression. I shared our history as it happened, Octavia replied calmly. We have overcome tremendous adversity to reach the stars. That journey defines us. A ripple of murmurs circled the chamber. The Valdaxian representative, a creature with exoskeletal plates that clicked when agitated, leaned forward. Your species developed nuclear weapons before achieving unified governance, it hissed. You nearly destroyed your homeworld multiple times before your first interplanetary colonies. These are not the markers of a species ready for Galactic Council membership. Octavia nodded, acknowledging the truth in those words. Yet here we stand, having overcome those very instincts. Our history of conflict taught us the value of peace. Peace? Echoed Chancellor Dreth of the Korgathi Imperium, his scaled face contorting in what might have been amusement. Your diplomatic vessels carry weapons systems that would violate 17 different treaties if you were actual signatories. Defensive systems only, Octavia countered, as permitted under preliminary membership protocols. Enough, Zolthar pulsed brightly. This tribunal has reviewed all evidence. The formal vote has been recorded. Octavia felt her heartbeat quicken. This wasn't protocol. Decisions took days of deliberation, not minutes of theatrical posturing. The Council finds Ambassador Octavia Reeves guilty of diplomatic subterfuge and emotional manipulation of Council proceedings. The chamber fell silent. Even the atmospheric regulators seemed to pause. The sentence for these crimes is immediate removal from Council consideration. Humanity's petition for membership is hereby permanently denied. Octavia kept her expression neutral despite the crushing disappointment. This wasn't just rejection, this was humiliation designed to keep humanity isolated for generations. Furthermore, Zolthar continued, his body now pulsing with rapid, excited patterns. To ensure the message is clearly understood by Earth's governance, this tribunal sentences Ambassador Reeves to execution to be carried out immediately. The words hung in the air for a moment before their meaning registered. Execution, not deportation or imprisonment, death, for the crime of advocating too passionately for her species. This violates all diplomatic protocols, Octavia stated, her voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. I formally request communication with Earth Central Command. Communication denied, replied Zolthar. The sentence will be broadcast to your homeworld as a lesson in humility. 2 Praxian guards approached, their chitinous limbs clicking against the polished floor. Octavia didn't resist as they secured her arms, though her mind raced through diplomatic precedents, legal exceptions, anything that might delay this madness. I came in peace, she said, voice carrying clearly across the chamber. Remember that humanity extended an open hand, not a fist. Chancellor Dreth leaned forward. Yet your history shows that behind every open human hand lies a concealed weapon. The guards led her to the center of the chamber where a circular platform had risen from the floor. A neural disruptor, the Union's preferred method of execution. Quick, painless, and irreversible. Octavia raised her chin, looking directly into the broadcast drone hovering above her. She knew the feed was streaming live to Earth, to the United Planetary Command where President Harlow would be watching, where her husband Jeremiah and daughter Imani might be witnessing her final moments. To Earth, she spoke clearly, I have no regrets. I represented us as we are survivors, dreamers, and yes, warriors when necessary. I hope I represented us well. The drone zoomed closer, capturing every detail of her face. And to the Galactic Union, she continued, her voice hardening. You make a grave mistake today. Humanity sought peace, but we have never forgotten how to make war. Zolthar gestured impatiently, proceed with sentencing. The neural disruptor hummed to life beneath her feet. Octavia closed her eyes, picturing the rolling hills outside New Geneva where she'd grown up. The platform beneath her vibrated as energy built up in its circuitry. Transmission complete, announced the automated system. Execution feed broadcasting to Sol system. Her final thoughts weren't of fear or anger, but of the consequences. The Council believed they were teaching humanity submission. What they were actually doing was awakening something that had slumbered for generations, humanity's capacity for righteous fury. The disruptor fired. On Earth, in the United Planetary Command Center beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, President Eleanor Harlow watched the transmission end abruptly. The chamber remained silent for 17 seconds, one for each year of Octavia's diplomatic service. Then the president stood, her face carved from stone. "Contact Fleet Admiral Blackwood," she ordered. "Immediate activation of Directive Prometheus." "Madam President," her aide whispered, "that would mean—" "I know exactly what it means," President Harlow interrupted. "They executed our ambassador on a live broadcast. The time for diplomacy has ended." Throughout Earth and its colonies across the solar system, military installations that had remained dormant for decades began powering up. Ships previously classified as research vessels revealed weapon systems that violated every treaty humanity had signed in good faith. Sleeper agents embedded in neutral trading posts activated emergency protocols. Humanity had spent generations concealing its true military capabilities, hoping for peaceful acceptance. With Octavia's execution, that hope had died. War was coming, and the Galactic Union had no idea what they had awakened. Part 2, Operation Thunderstrike. Colonel Damien Frost stood on the command deck of the EDS Retribution, his posture rigid as he watched the tactical display. The massive dreadnought, officially listed in Union registries as an atmospheric research vessel, now revealed its true purpose as weapon systems came online one by one, status indicators shifting from dormant gray to combat-ready green. "All systems operational, Colonel," reported Lieutenant Commander Javier Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. "Stealth systems functioning at optimal capacity. We remain undetected." Frost nodded, his weathered face betraying nothing of the storm raging within. He had known Ambassador Reeves, had shared meals with her, debated philosophy during long interstellar journeys. Her execution hadn't just been a diplomatic miscalculation, it had been personal. "Status of the fleet?" he asked, voice calm despite the circumstances. "All vessels reporting ready, sir. Task Force Nemesis has achieved positioning around Varaxis Prime. Strike teams await your command." The holographic display shifted, revealing the jewel-like Galactic Union headquarters world. 50 Earth vessels, ships that officially didn't exist, now surrounded the planet, their presence masked by quantum displacement technology the Union believed was centuries beyond human capability. "And Operation Thunderstrike's parameters?" "Confirmed and locked, sir. Primary targets identified: planetary defense grid, communication hubs, and governmental facilities. Civilian zones marked as no-strike areas per President Harlow's directive." Frost studied the rotating hologram. Varaxis Prime housed over 12 billion sentients from across the galaxy. Most were innocents, bureaucrats, and civilians who had no part in the Council's decision. They would be spared this time. "Sir," Rodriguez said hesitantly, "there's something else. The Council is in emergency session there, celebrating." The tactical officer routed the intercepted broadcast to the main screen. High Arbiter Zolthar's gelatinous form pulsed with satisfied light patterns as he addressed the assembly. "The human problem has been contained," the translation overlay rendered his speech. "Their primitive displays of emotion have no place in galactic governance. Let this be a lesson to other emerging species. The Union demands dignity and restraint." Chancellor Dreth raised an appendage in agreement. "Perhaps now they will understand their proper place. A species barely a millennium past their stone age presuming to lecture us on interstellar ethics. The arrogance was intolerable." Frost's expression hardened as laughter rippled through the council chamber. They weren't just unapologetic, they were proud of what they'd done. "Lieutenant Commander," he said quietly, "initiate Thunderstrike. Primary targets only." "Yes, sir," commencing operation. Throughout the fleet, targeting systems locked onto predetermined coordinates. This wasn't a bombardment, it was surgery, precise and deliberate. "All ships weapons free," Frost commanded. The EDS Retribution shuddered slightly as its main cannon discharged, a focused quantum disruption beam that theoretically couldn't exist according to the physics textbooks humanity had shared with the Union. The beam, invisible to conventional sensors, struck the planet's main defense control center. Systems failed instantly, protective shields collapsing without even an alarm. Across Veraxis Prime, critical military and governmental systems suddenly went dark. Communication networks dissolved into static, orbital defense platforms powered down, automated security systems reset to default configurations. And still, the Council remained unaware, continuing their self-congratulatory session. Phase 1 complete, Rodriguez reported. No casualties, defense systems neutralized, deploying ground teams. From the belly of each Earth vessel, drop pods launched toward the surface. Inside each pod, 5 Phantom operators, Special Forces soldiers enhanced with neural augmentations and adaptive camouflage, prepared for deployment. Their mission wasn't destruction but demonstration. Council chambers targeted, confirmed Major Nadia Volkov, commander of Phantom Team Alpha, her voice calm in Frost's earpiece. Breaching in 3 minutes. Frost watched through Volkov's tactical feed as her team descended through Veraxis Prime's upper atmosphere. Unlike conventional military drops, the Phantom pods emitted no heat signature, no electromagnetic disturbance, nothing that might trigger the few backup alarms still functioning. Colonel, Rodriguez interrupted, "We're receiving a transmission from Veraxis Traffic Control. They're requesting identification." So someone had noticed something after all, impressive if belated. "Put them through," Frost ordered. A flustered Tessarian controller appeared on screen, 4 of his 6 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. "Unidentified vessels, you have entered restricted space without authorization. Identify immediately or face defensive measures." Frost stepped into view, his black uniform bearing no insignia, no rank markers, nothing to identify him except the small Earth emblem on his collar. "This is Colonel Damian Frost of Earth Fleet. Your defensive measures have been neutralized. Your communication systems are under our control. Your government facilities are about to be occupied." The controller's eyes widened further. "Earth doesn't have a fleet. You're registered as a pre-FTL civilization with limited." "We lied," Frost interrupted flatly. "Relay this message to whatever authorities you can reach. Operation Thunderstrike is underway. This is humanity's response to the execution of Ambassador Reeves." The transmission cut abruptly as Major Volkov's voice returned. "In position, Colonel, Council chambers breached." The tactical feed switched to Volkov's perspective as her team entered the Grand Council chamber through maintenance ducts that supposedly required specialized Tessarian physiology to navigate. The council session continued undisturbed, representatives still exchanging congratulations on handling the human situation so decisively. "Execute," Frost commanded. Simultaneously, all lights in the chamber extinguished. When emergency illumination activated 3 seconds later, 5 Phantom operators stood in a circle around the central podium, weapons trained on the stunned council members. Volkov stepped forward, her adaptive camouflage deactivating to reveal her human form. The chamber erupted in chaos, representatives shouting, security forces rushing forward only to find their weapons unresponsive. "Silence," Volkov's amplified voice cut through the pandemonium. The chamber fell quiet, 300 species frozen in shock and fear. "I am Major Nadia Volkov of Earth Fleet. You are now witnessing Operation Thunderstrike, humanity's response to your execution of Ambassador Octavia Reeves." High Arbiter Zolthar's translator unit sputtered as he vibrated intensely. "This is impossible. Earth has no military presence beyond its solar system." "Another lie we told while you mocked us," Volkov replied coldly. "We have disabled your planetary defenses, your communication networks, and your governmental systems without firing a single lethal shot. This is not an invasion, it is a demonstration." She gestured, and one of her operators projected a hologram showing 50 Earth vessels surrounding the planet. "Earth Fleet has had this capability for 73 years. We chose peace, we chose diplomacy. We sent Ambassador Reeves to you with an open hand, you responded with execution." Chancellor Dreth rose from his seat, scales flaring. "You cannot threaten this council, the combined might of the Union will." A precision shot from Volkov's sidearm struck inches from his appendage, silencing him instantly. "The combined might of your Union just discovered all its weapons no longer function," she stated. "This operation was authorized 12 hours ago. In that time, we neutralized a civilization you thought was primitive." On the Retribution, Frost watched the feed with grim satisfaction. Phase 2 was proceeding perfectly. "Colonel," Rodriguez reported, "President Harlow is requesting to address the council directly." Frost nodded, patch her through to Major Volkov's feed. In the council chamber, the hologram shifted to display President Eleanor Harlow, her dark eyes hard as flint. Members of the Galactic Union, she began, her voice steady. You have committed an act of war against Earth. Operation Thunderstrike is just the beginning of our response. You thought us weak, you will learn otherwise. You believed us primitive, we allowed you to believe that. You executed our ambassador, we will not forget nor forgive. The chamber remained silent, hundreds of alien representatives finally understanding the magnitude of their miscalculation. The rules have changed, President Harlow continued. Earth is no longer seeking membership in your union. We are demanding recognition as a sovereign power and respect commensurate with our true capabilities. She leaned forward slightly, her expression unyielding. You have 24 hours to return Ambassador Reeves' remains with full honors. After that, Operation Thunderstrike enters Phase 3. Colonel Frost will provide details of what that entails. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence as humanity's message became unmistakably clear. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same.